Alright, so for this map, and this is actually going to be our last map that we do this semester, we're going to do the country of Australia. You can see the locations here on the side, and then also the country of New Zealand. Alright, this goes well with our unit. You know, we just did our imperialism unit, which Australia and New Zealand are, former colonies of the British Empire. Right, so fits in pretty well. They also, actually, believe it or not, played a very important role in World War I and World War II, supplying troops to the British during World War I, and in World War II, basically starting their own armies and starting their nation's first military history. Anyways, let's get started because, as you can see, there's kind of a lot. So let's get started with the Australia map. Australia. Alright, first one we got, the state of Victoria. And we're going to zoom in here to this guy. And I'm just going to point an arrow here. Alright, and I'm just going to label it like this, Victoria. I'm not going to write state of, right? Just know that that is the state of Victoria, right? It'd be like saying the state of Washington instead of Washington, right? Same thing, right? So we have Victoria right there. Then we're going to go to South Australia, which is this guy. So let's label it. For this one, I am going to write it in, just because there's a lot more space. South Australia. South Australia is probably the country's most famous wine region, especially for white wines. South Australia. The Hemsworth brothers own a couple of wineries in this region. South Australia, then we're going to go to Queensland. This big guy here. Okay, we can write in Queensland. Right. Named for Queen Victoria. Queensland. This, basically, like this left half of the country is all of Western Australia. So we can write it in here. Most of it is desert, right, outback, but on the coast, very pretty. Some of the best beaches in the world. Western Australia. The biggest state. Tasmania, the state of Tasmania, which is this island down here, are obviously famous for the Tasmanian devils, right? As you guys know, this guy, Tasmania. There you go. Tasmania is also supposed to be like the most, I guess the word you would use is the most redneck part of Australia. Tasmania. New South Wales, which is this guy here, the oldest state in Australia. This is where the first colony was created. New South Wales. Bam. Okay, then we have this guy. Not a state, actually, just a territory. The Northern Territory, multiple times in its history, almost became a state, but never quite made it. The Northern Territory. There we go. Alright, next one we got on the list is Canberra, which is this little eye drop looking thing, right? And that's where the capital is. That's the capital. Canberra is the capital of Australia. Hang on, I don't like the way I wrote that. Canberra. Bam. Right, that's the capital. That little eye drop thing. It's the Australian Capital Territory. Right, just like Washington, D.C. is in its own territory, right, the District of Columbia, so is Canberra, the capital of Australia. Then we have, in Victoria, the city of Melbourne, which is going to be right here, this star here, right on the tip there. Melbourne, one of the largest cities in Australia. Lived there for a little bit when I lived in Australia. The place where I lived the most in Australia was this place, right to the north of it, about here, Bendigo. Bendigo, right there, right to the north of Melbourne, in the state of Victoria. So we got Melbourne, we got Bendigo. Then we're going to go to New South Wales and put on the map probably the most famous city in Australia, right? Sydney. So let's go up here on the coast, right here, okay? That's where we're going to put Sydney, right? The largest city in Australia, the most touristy city in Australia. There we go. Then we have Broken Hill. What a name for a town, right? Broken Hill. Very important town, though, for the agricultural industries in Australia, and it's going to be about right here in New South Wales. Broken Hill. It's fun to say, though. Where are you from? Broken Hill. Got Broken Hill. Then in Queensland, we're going to label Brisbane. It's going to be right on the border here with New South Wales. Right on the coast as well. Right here, okay. We're just going to put in Brisbane. Right there, Brisbane. The largest city in Queensland. Brisbane. Brisvegas, as it's known as. So there's Brisbane, right? Then after Brisbane, we have Townsville to the north. So let's label it correctly. Okay, let's go up here. Townsville. Boom. Okay, so like about right here, right? Townsville. Guess I'll just write it in onto the side. Townsville. Okay? Also in Queensland. Then after that we should have Cairns to the north of Townsville. Cairns is famous for being a port city for people, tourists, ordinary Australians who want to go and visit the Great Barrier Reef. All the little Finding Nemos. Cairns. That's how you say that. Cairns. C-A-I-R-N-S. Cairns. There's that. After Cairns, we have Perth. The lone big city in Western Australia. It's going to be right about here. Perth. Fun fact, in Australia there are more kangaroos than people. There's about 25 million people, and there's about 45 million kangaroos. So almost double the population of humans. Kangaroos are freaking everywhere. Anyways, make sure you have Perth labeled there. Then we're going to go up here, still in Western Australia, to the town of Broome. Right here. Broome. Bam. There we go. Most people, as you can see from kind of where the towns are located, most people in Australia tend to live on the coast. But as you'll see, there are some cities, right, that are a lot more inland. Let's go down to Tasmania. We're going to put down the city of Hobart. Right right here. Hobart. Beautiful. Beautiful little town in Tasmania. I spent New Year's Eve in 2018 in Hobart. Spent it in Hobart Bay, watched fireworks. It was amazing. Then we're going to go to Darwin, up here. Named after Charles Darwin, of course. He landed here in the 1800s. Darwin, right up there in the Northern Territory. Then, after Darwin, we're going to do Alice Springs, which is right here. Alice Springs. This is right smack dab in the desert. There's nothing around it. Right? There's nothing around it. But it's a pretty little town. Alice Springs. Then we have Adelaide. So let's go down here to that little boot. Kind of a little boot in the little island, right? Kind of looks like a miniature Italy, if you remember our map of Italy. But Adelaide is right here. I'm going to write it in up here. Adelaide. Bam. Town known for its beautiful architecture, Victorian style architecture. Make sure you have Adelaide there in South Australia. And for the last one for Australia, we have Uluru, Ayers Rock, probably one of the most famous geological monuments in the country. Very, very important to the Aboriginals, so the native people of Australia. Uluru. Most people today call it Uluru. It used to be called Ayers Rock, named by the man, the white European who was the first European to see it. He named it for himself, Ayers Rock. Now people use the Aboriginal name instead, right? Uluru. Right there. It's a big orange, reddish rock in the middle of the outback. All right, anyways, right? So that's our map of Australia. So now, let's go to New Zealand. Okay. And for New Zealand, right, same thing. Just like Australia, Australia has more kangaroos than people. New Zealand has more sheep than people. They have about 4 million people, and they have about 40 million sheep. Freaking ton more sheep. Anyway, let's label this bad boy. So obviously, right, this, right, is the North Island. Makes sense, right? It's in the North Island. And obviously, this guy is the South Island. South Island. Right, so first New Zealand is divided into the islands, North or South Island. Okay. Alright, let's put in some of these cities here. Start with Auckland, which is the largest city, but not the capital. So let's go in here. It's going to be right in here. Okay. Auckland. Largest city, but not the capital city. Then we have Whangarei. Let's go up here to Whangarei, to the far north, as it's called. Whangarei, it's going to be about right here. Whangarei. Bam. Another city. Then we're going to do the capital, Wellington. Let's go down here to the Cook Strait. Right on the tip here is the capital city of Wellington, capital of New Zealand. Bam. right there in the North Island. Then we have the city of Greymouth here on the region of the West Coast, which we'll label the regions very soon after this. But here is the city of Greymouth. Right there, Greymouth. Then we have Napier. Also has really, really good wine here at Napier. It's going to be right in here. Napier used to be a famous pirate town in the late 1800s in New Zealand. Napier. Alright, now let's start to do some of the regions, okay? Actually, sorry, I missed a lot of cities up here. I'm going crazy. Anyway, after Wellington, I don't know how I missed Christchurch. It's one of my favorite cities in New Zealand. Anyway, go to the lump thingy there popping out, and Christchurch is going to be right in here. How do I skip all that? Jesus Christ. Anyway, all right, Christchurch, great rugby team there, the Crusaders. Then we have Dunedin. Dunedin is down here, also next to a lump. Isn't that funny? Christchurch and Dunedin are both located on a lump. Dunedin. Pretty good rugby team, right? They're the rivals to the Christchurch rugby team. Dunedin. Invercargill here to the south. Right in here. Invercargill. You can see penguins here in this New Zealand city. They get here from Antarctica. All right, Invercargill. Then we have Hamilton. Let's go right here next to Auckland, kind of. All right, so right in here is the city of Hamilton. Bam. There you go. All right. All right, so now that should be all the cities, right? We have Greymouth, we have Napier. Yes. Now let's do the regions. The region of Canterbury. I'm going to highlight the regions a little bit just so we can distinguish them a little more, you know? You know what I mean? So this here is the region of Canterbury. Canterbury, where Christchurch is located. Alright, so that region there, that is Canterbury. Region of Otago is where Dunedin is located. So this here, follow that line, bam, right? That's Otago. Right in there. And the regions in New Zealand are basically like the states, right? States in the United States and states in Australia. Right? They just call them regions. Then we have Waikato. That's up here, where Hamilton is. Let's make this guy green. So this guy here is Waikato. Right here. Bam. Okay. So let's write in Waikato. Waikato. Bam. Okay, so that's that region. Hamilton's the capital of that region. Then we have the region of Northland. Go to the north here. And in here in this region where we have Whangarei, right, that is the Northland. Bam. So let's type it in. Northland. Bam. Alright, almost done, guys. Hang on. Hawke's Bay. That is where Napier is. Let's label Hawke's Bay. This guy. Bam, 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 bam. There we go. Okay. So let's type in. And it's Hawks with an E. Old school. Hawke's Bay. There you go. Where Napier is. I misspelled it here. So that should be an E there at the end. Okay. Hawke's Bay with an E. Then we have the region of West Coast. So right where Greymouth is. Okay. I'm going to label this guy like this. Right, this little skinny guy. Bam. Alright. That is West Coast. West Coast, best coast. Right in here. West Coast. Alright, so that little skinny stretch on the coast there is the West Coast. Let's go down to the region of Invercargill. Label this guy gray. It's the coldest spot in New Zealand. The further south you go in New Zealand, the colder it gets, because you get closer to the Antarctic and Antarctica. So this guy here is Southland. All right, this is where penguins, you can find penguins here. Southland. Then we have Stewart Island. It's going to be this guy here. Stewart Island. Bam. Alright. Now we got two different bodies of water. Okay. I'm going to write this in blue. Okay. Right here is the Tasman Sea. And if you cross this sea, that's how you get to Australia. Right? You cross the sea, Australia's just a little further to the north here. And then in here is just the vast Pacific Ocean, where Captain Cook came from to first discover, quote unquote, discover New Zealand and Australia for the British. Pacific Ocean. Alright. That's it, boys. Just go ahead and turn that in for credit. Okay? Both maps, make sure you try to submit just like it is right now. One document for both maps. Turn it in, worth 100 points. So, get it done. Get her done. Alright, thank you for also listening to my ramblings. Take care, guys.